Hi, Assalamualaikum and good day. I'm a representative of my group research. So I'm going to present about the topic of our research is development and validations of instrumentations of cyber espionage intention. So let me introduce with you with my group members. Okay, first is me. So my name is Irza Hanie, and my expertise in human resource development and also human resource management. And then we have Dr. Azlineer, expert in HRM and also finance. And then we have law and human rights, which is Dr. Kalthum. And we have Associate Professor Dr. Roziana, expert in HRM and HRD as well. Same goes to Dr. Syafiqah. And last one, we have one of our co-authors, Dr. Intan Maizura, expert in finance and economics from UITM. Okay, let's proceed with this topic. So my topic is about cyber espionage. Okay, let me go through with this. Right, so employee may have taken the oath upon the Official Secret Act 1972. However, current landscaping on the dependency of cyberspace made employees sometimes forget about the importance of data secrecy. So meaning that people, ever since they have been working from home, and they take that as a new norm. So public and private entities have become worried about the risk of leaking information through malicious attack or even by employee mistake. So the recent cyber threat and vulnerable work design have demanded a new definitions on cyber espionage to protect data secrecy for CNII and adhering to the Official Secret Act 1972 in Malaysia. So hence the current study wants to contribute to the development and the validations of cyber espionage intention instrumentation that are relevant in the current situation. So our research, we propose a series of methodology, and we use Jamovi as to analyze the data. So let me begin with how it started with the cyber espionage. So today the world without boundaries is nothing new to the society. People around the world can connect anytime and anywhere whenever there is an internet connection. However, along with this excitement comes along with the risk that may surprise the user without any warning. People being urged to accept this technological usage. However, the hazards of technological adoption among the society has yet been discussed rigorously by previous researchers, since it is considered a new norm since pandemic struck us on 2020. So some people believe that the pandemic of COVID-19 was a silver lining because many technological-based companies gained tremendous revenue as many parties are using their services. Let's move on to a research problem. So based on the current situation, we believe that it raises a concern of this research that cyber espionage may trigger upon roaming into cyberspace. People in majority might not be aware of the ethics on roaming into cyberspace because there is no education had emphasized at all societal background, and even though there is an agency, both public and private, but the scale of education on roaming into cyberspace are not widespread. And furthermore, the term of cyber espionage is a common is common among field of cyber warfare and cyber terrorism, in which most cases it involves military bodies, and it involves understanding of espionage in the traditional way. Hence, a previous research mentioned that cyber espionage is attractive because it is less risky than the traditional espionage. This is based on the cyber warfare and in the military cases. This proves that the scope of knowledge in cyber espionage is still not quite known by the society. So meanwhile, as the pandemic urged the society to adopt technologies, many have roamed in cyberspace without knowing the risk of spying or being spied by someone. Okay, let's move on into understanding the concept of cyber espionage based on the previous research. So, in current research, we have identified a privacy, integrity, and also availability. So, actually, a cyber espionage is is more about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So hence, protecting privacy, integrity, and availability of information is crucial when people are in cyberspace. So therefore, the definitions of cyberspace can be uncovered from the meaning of privacy, integrity, and availability. So the behavior behind these three dimensions explain the attitude displayed by the society in the cyberspace. So privacy explains the confidentiality of the data, integrity explains the authenticity, and availability is explaining about the presence of the data. And so it is concluded that the definitions of cyber espionage is still vague among the societal norm, and yet the connectivity among society through cyberspace is high. This raises the issue of the right ethical standard and proper behavior for people when roaming into cyberspace, so which is we are still lacking. Let's move on to the methodology. So our research, we focus on from the literature review. Okay, we gathered all the informations about cyberspace, and then we proceed with a focus group discussions, and then from that focus group discussion we are using a probing technique, and from that we develop some themes, and also we develop an instrument. And as you can see from this table, we have three tables that we can classify it as disseminate, attitude, and competency. And lastly, we go through with the validation of people from the industry and also academician to do a face validity of the questions here. And next we proceed with the results and discussions. Okay, as you can see here, the results and discussions, we've run the tests of EFA, exploratory factor analysis. So the results of the assumptions of Butler test of sphericity, it actually is significant, meaning that the sample is enough to test for EFA. Alright, however, when looking at the factor and SS loading here, the proportions of overall variance in the data that is accounted for the 4 factor is 37.4%. So if you can see, all the variance is not equivalent. And if we notice from our previous development of the instrument, we only have 3 factors, but once we run with the exploratory factor analysis, it becomes into 4 factors. Okay, and looking at the loading and the percentage of the variance for each factor, it is not equivalent. However, we try to maintain these results first, and we want to look further when we run in the CFA. Okay, looking at the script plot, how the result or the test defined as a 4-factor. As looking here, the script plot show the point of reflections at which slope of the script curve levels off or below the elbow. If you can see the arrow here is the below the elbow, so the plot or factor can levels off after at plot 3 or 4. Okay, so we maintain our results into 4-factor first. Okay, we maintain it first, and then we want to look at the confirmatory factor analysis here. Okay, as you can see, the CFA here, from the 4 factors that we gathered from the EFA, we run the CFA. As you can see, there is a disseminate 3 items. There is a new form of factor which is reticent 5 items, and then self-disclosure 3 items, which those 2 are coming from the attitude instrument that we developed at first. Okay, and then the competency 3 items, and the CFA confirmed that there is no correlated error item, and the model is actually tested to see how well it fits the observed data. Okay, and looking at the value of CFI and also TLI, the model has a good fit. However, when looking at the RMCCI, the standard is not matched, which is the upper level should be less than 0.05. However, the result produced in the contrary. So the CFA concluded that the model is actually partially fit with the data, and we have our reason because the sampling technique that we use might probably affect the test of our studies. Okay, and the second, the small number of sample, which is 102, not reaching 150 to run the EFA of the oblique rotation, so might affect the determinants of how many factors is actually in the observed variables. So our preliminary finding of cyber espionage detention warrants the future investigations of the domain of cyber espionage among the society. The definitions and the concept are still vague, and this study is actually still at the preliminary levels. So we demand and require more research samples to do about this instrumentation. And now, by having to know the current state of cyber espionage detention among the public employee, this study actually can enforce that the Official Secret Act 1972 in Malaysia can expand its control to all employees, not just public but private sector as well, especially the one that providing the network services to our cyber defense. So with that, this research is really important, and we concluded that our research need more investigation in the future. And so thank you. Here are some of the references, and I would like to say thank you to our funders by the Ministry of Higher Education, and this research is actually being approved by ethical approval, and we have the ethical approval number here. Okay, and so we also declare that we have no conflict of interest. Okay, so I end it with thank you.